In the video today, we're answering a viewer question because James I asks us, I was at Lowe's and noticed mailboxes say, approved by the Postmaster General. What specifications do a mailbox need to reach to be approved in this way? I mean, it's a box with a little door and a flag. Are those the requirements? What's the process here? So American mailboxes do have the little flags like in the movies. Today I found out. While the United States Postal Service, USPS, and the position of Postmaster General, which is an epic job title by the way, date back to the American Revolutionary War, the USPS didn't start regulating the size of mailboxes until it began delivering mail to residents in rural areas of the country. The new program, known as Rural Free Delivery, or RFD, started in 1896 as an experiment to determine whether delivering mail to residents outside the city was practical. As of 1890, the more than 65 million Americans living in rural areas had to visit a post office to pick up their mail, while those living in the city had their mail delivered right to their homes. The fact that the service to rural areas was only a trial run meant that a number of rural residents refused to purchase a special mailbox, so instead they used all sorts of containers found around the home, such as cigar boxes, salvaged items, and feed boxes. Those makeshift boxes weren't all that secure, and they often left the letters and packages vulnerable to being damaged by the weather. The Postmaster General tasked a committee to solve this problem in 1901, and the committee came up with the first specifications for a rural mailbox. Mailboxes needed to meet the new rules when the USPS began a new route, or if an old mailbox was being replaced. According to a USPS historian, yes, apparently that is a real job, the mailboxes had to conform to requirements for construction, size, and the height of the post on top of which the box sat. Specifically, the boxes were required to be made of metal, galvanized iron, or steel, with openings and hinges so constructed to be impervious to weather. The mailbox needed to have an opening on the front or top and be approximately 6 by 8 by 18 inches. As for the mailbox post, the committee required that the post be tall enough that the postal carrier could deliver the mail without getting off his horse. The RFD became a permanent service in 1902, and the stamp approved by the Postmaster General started to appear on commercially produced mailboxes so long as they met the specified requirements. The next official changes to the specifications of mailboxes came about in 1915. Given the aforementioned size requirements, rural mailboxes could only hold small packages. Initially, this wasn't a problem as mail carriers were only allowed to deliver packages weighing less than 4 pounds. But the introduction of Parcel Post in 1913, a program that sought to deliver larger packages to rural customers, meant that the USPS and Postmaster General needed to come up with new mailbox specifications to handle the larger packages. As such, the USPS created two boxes, the number 1 and the larger number 2 box. The number 1 box closely resembled already approved boxes measuring 18.5 by 6.5 by 7.5 inches. The number 2 box was designed to accommodate larger packages measuring 23.5 by 11 by 14 inches. These boxes needed to have a tunnel-like shape, which has become the traditional style used today, just like in the movies. In 1954, the USPS and Postmaster General introduced a third mailbox that functioned as a size in between the number 1 and number 2 boxes, appropriately called the number 1A. I'd have definitely gone for number 1.5, but alright. That change to the regulation was the last to require a tunnel-like shape. The option for a customer to construct their own mailbox, so long as it fell within the minimum and maximum size requirements, as well as the introduction of the contemporary box design, were enacted in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Today's mailboxes still need to comply with USPS specifications, but those rules are much less strict than they were at the beginning of rural delivery. Today, mailboxes must be between 18 and 9/16 and 22 and 13/16 inches long, 6 1/4 and 11 inches wide, and 6 to 15 inches tall, and the mailboxes must be able to hold a test gauge. The boxes can still be constructed by customers, but the Postmaster General and the USPS suggest that plans for new mailboxes be shown to local postmasters for approval prior to construction. These rules went into effect in 2001. As for manufacturers getting a stamp of approval, mailboxes produced commercially can be inspected by the USPS at any point during the manufacturing process in order to ensure compliance with the Postmaster General specifications. If the mailboxes fail to meet the requirements, then the USPS can suspend the Postmaster General's approval of the design. And just as a final note, before 1992, regulations regarding the size of mailboxes in the United States only applied to mailboxes in rural areas. areas. City mailboxes were never officially addressed in the Postmaster General's regulations. And now for a bonus fact. When parcel post service first launched in America on January 1st, 1913, there were few guidelines on what could be mailed. As a result, a handful of parents spotted a bargain and began mailing their children. The first known case of this was the child of Mr. and Mrs. Jesse Boge of Ohio, only a few weeks after the launch of parcel post. They sent their son to his grandmother's house for a fee of just 15 cents, which is about $3.72 today. On January 27th, 1913, Mr. and Mrs. J.W. Service of Pennsylvania mailed their daughter to relatives for a fee of 45 cents. More famously, 5-year-old May Pierstorff of Ohio was mailed on February 19th, 1914, 73 miles to her grandmother's house at a cost of just 53 cents, about $13.13 today. This was significantly cheaper than sending her on a passenger train, with the train ticket in question costing $1.55, according to the book Mailing May. May's case helped push forward an inquiry on the matter of mailing children and ultimately led to Postmaster General Albert Burleson declaring that from that point forward, it was against the rules to mail human beings. Despite this, the practice continued for about 2 more years, finally stopping after an investigation into why 3-year-old Maud Smith of Missouri was allowed to be mailed to her grandparents' house in Kentucky. While you might have visions of children being put in boxes with holes on the side for air, this was not how the children were mailed. The appropriate number of stamps were simply affixed to their clothing, along with the address that they were to be sent to. From there, they were accompanied by postal workers on the trains, along with normal packages, and then they were escorted to their destinations. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do smash that thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe, brand new videos every day of the week. And as always, thank you for watching.